for coming out and just supporting not just me, but the community and the efforts in what we're doing here and trying to increase the quality of life here. That's what it's all about. We want to make sure Clayton County and ensure through our law enforcement and everyone else that, and our court systems, that we have a safe, clean, and a happy quality of life here for our citizens. So I just want to say thank you all for that. A couple of things we have going on, and I'll get you with this one first. The Noah's Ark project is coming before the board on Tuesday. It doesn't look like it's going to pass as of this moment. We've got a whole lot going on. So that looks like we've got a lot of traffic issues here, and we've got to begin to determine how we're going to create a better traffic situation here. So we've got to really dig in and deal with that. So the board is going to be dealing with that. And I specifically, I'm going to be looking at specific places in District 4 of where the traffic is slowing towards gridlock and how we can begin to reverse that pattern. As far as we've got another development coming up on McDonough Road, same situation. We've got to really look at the traffic patterns there. Our government building, we're going to have a new government building, hopefully in about the next 2 to 3 years. We're in a design stage right now. So we're going to be tearing down 112 in the building next door and creating one large government center. So we're all really excited about that right now. What else? We have our Lake Spivey Rec Center. We're growing and we're moving. Our bathrooms are being renovated. Our Nassau building is being done. The amphitheater is in the final design stages. So hopefully that will be up and functioning by the summer, by the summer of 2022. So we have that and we appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get straight to it. Let's start with our crime stats. Chief Roberts, are you around? And Captain? I don't know if Captain Flynn is there.
Yes, sir. I'm here. I'm trying to get my video started.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I don't see the chief right now, but I'll just go ahead and start for the Sector 4 side.
Great.
We're still continuing to see the same things that I've talked about in the past with valuables being left in vehicles. Particularly the last two weeks, I've seen firearms being left unattended in vehicles. And what's even worse with that is the vehicles are being left unlocked and then firearms being left in the vehicles. So, if everybody can just take that one additional step of taking their valuables out of their cars, even if you don't secure your car. Some people subscribe to the theory that they'd rather have somebody go in their car and not damage it than damage it. So all I can do is really ask that you take any valuable property that somebody may be trying to get out of it. Of course, still with the holiday season, package thefts are somewhat of a problem throughout the county. As we previously discussed, the package hubs, or just picking your packages up, is if you get the delivery notifications from whichever carrier is bringing the packages to you. I do want to thank everyone from the community that expressed their support and sent messages in regards to Officer Laxon's situation the other week. It was very much appreciated by the men and women of the department, and specifically from Sector 4. Officer Laxon for quite some time worked for me on Sector 4 before he went to the Tiger unit and everything, and his loss was deeply felt within Sector 4, and the outpouring of appreciation and everything is very much appreciated. The one thing, we've been fortunate with the warm weather, haven't had a lot of the vehicle thefts that we typically see, where vehicles being warmed up or that type of thing and left unattended. As cold weather moves in, undoubtedly later on we'll see those things rise. So just keep those things in mind. If you have a keyless system, a lot of those allow you to secure the car or put it to where it's immobile, even if you start the car and walk away from it. So just, take those extra steps and extra precautions to try to avoid those things.
Great.
And that's really what I have for Sector 4.
Okay. Sector 1, is that the one?
Sector 2.
Sector
Yeah.
2 is, yeah, there we go.
I am here.
Good morning, Captain Maddox.
Good morning. I'd like to echo what Captain Flint stated about all the outpouring of support we got. Officer Lackman was killed last week. It was real important for our people to know that the county was behind us and supporting us. He had served a tour of duty, as we like to call it, up on Sector 2, and I worked with him. So it was a huge loss for us. Young, very good young man, very good police officer. Also to echo what he was talking about with the vehicles, we saw a huge spike throughout the county in thefts. And one of the things we're finding is people are leaving valuables in the cars. And again, guns is an issue. We really would appreciate it, because when we see the ring cameras, a lot of times it's just young kids walking down the street and pulling on handles of cars, and they're just looking for an unlocked car to get into and grab things out of there. And if people would take the valuables and specifically their guns out of their cars, that would probably be a huge improvement, and we could probably reduce one of the major things that affects us right now, and that's just thefts out of cars.
Great. Now, does Chief, or do either one of you have the crime stats for this?
I had them with everything else going on this week, Commissioner.
Okay.
I think I neglected to send them. I can tell you that everything was up this past week. The thing that I will quantify that with was we had a particularly low week last week. Everything was way down, and I'm talking like we had one vehicle stolen, we had one burglary, we had 4 thefts, and then this past week I think I had 2 vehicles stolen, 2 burglaries. There was like 10 or 12 thefts this week, and again, a lot of those had to do with firearms being taken out of vehicles, and package thefts. So as far as the stats, I can say we were up, but it was part of the reason that we were up over last week. And when I say up, that's kind of what we're talking about, was because the previous week was so low in any reported crimes that we had. So it was up, but it was not, it was not a shockingly up type thing. It was just up over what the previous week was.
All right. Well, that's good. And also too, I just want to say personally, not just as a commissioner, but as a citizen, thank you for all your law enforcement and what you all do for us in getting up and going to work and trying to protect this community. I truly, as a citizen, want to say thank you all for what you do. So
Commissioner Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Judy Taylor. I want to say that processional was it was just very special. And I was so proud of all of our law enforcement people, and that people came here from all over the state of Georgia, from everywhere and everything, and how proud I was that they showed up for us, and that the people showed up and everything too, because this was devastating to us, because I feel like all of our officers are part of our family. And so the processional was absolutely special and I really appreciate what the police department did to honor this young man.
Well, we thank you for those remarks. And the ironic thing was I got a chance to meet his parents and found out that his father and I grew up about a mile apart in Los Angeles. So that was kind of very interesting to say, hey, this world is extremely small. I wish we wouldn't have come together in that moment, but that's great. But let's keep moving on that. We have Chief Trawick from the Clayton County Public Schools Police, and we want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the schools, especially in light of what a lot of folks have heard this week. Chief.
Well, good morning, Commissioner Davis, and good morning to everyone else, and thank you for inviting me to the town hall meeting. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to continued participation in the meeting or meetings. The school district, as it has been reported, we've had quite a bit of activity as it relates to threats. And I will say that the problems that we are experiencing are not unique to Clayton County. They're happening within the state as well as the nation. You can't turn on world news or local news without hearing of some threat where people are calling in to shoot up or blow up or bomb schools. People are getting on social media, they're putting information out, and we're trying to combat that. But I want to echo my colleagues, my Clayton County Police Department colleagues, as it relates to weapons. We really need for our parents and people in the community to really give us some assistance with the guns. Because what we're seeing is that we're having younger people access weapons and they're bringing those weapons out. And we really need to encourage our parents to secure those weapons, not leave them in the cars, and when they're in the homes, put them up, put locking devices on them, et cetera. But I do want to address what was aired just this morning and yesterday as it relates to Monday's meal, because I'm sure your constituents are really concerned with that. And one was the post, and then one situation was a fight. So let's go to the post itself. On 6:30 Thursday morning, 6:30 a.m., we received notification that there was a post of shooting up the school. At that point, we immediately dispatched other officers. We had 5 officers over at Monday's Mill High School, 2 patrolling outside, 3 patrolling inside. We had the school warning every student that came through to ensure that we didn't have a weapon inside. We immediately got our investigative team on the post so that we can identify the IP number, make contact with our state and federal partners so that we could track the individual down. By noon, we identified the individual. By 2:30, we had the individual in custody and he confessed to the event itself. And we made contact with the Youth Detention Center and that individual was detained. So I want to say that we are really serious about the threats. We don't take any threat lightly. We dispatch additional officers to those locations and we immediately initiate our investigation to identify the potential offender and bring that individual in so that we can resolve those issues. So I just want the community to know that we were very proactive once we received notification of that threat and that we're going to deploy all resources available to us as well as our partners. Because when we get the threats, we let Chief Roberts know, we let the Sheriff's Department know, and the local municipalities. So if we have an event, we can all collaborate together so that we can resolve the issues. We don't believe in operating unilaterally, individually. We think it takes a team to approach this because what happens in the school spills out to the community. What happens in the community comes into the school. As it relates to fights, we have seen an increase in fights. I think it's just due to COVID and due to individuals being confined for such a large period of time. We've just seen an increase in violence with our young people. And I think it's consistent with the nation. You see disruptions on airlines, you see disruptions when you're shopping at the grocery stores, malls, et cetera. And the school is just a microcosmic cosmic image of the community. But we're using our resources. We know that we have mental health challenges. All of us are experiencing some kind of issues as it relates to COVID. So we're getting with our partners and we're putting wraparound services in place so that we can de-escalate the situation and teach our young people to talk through their problems and not resort to violence. So that's pretty much where we are. We are seeing some increases, but we are attempting to mitigate those increases with our counselors, our law enforcement, and encouraging our parents and community members to assist us with the de-escalation process. So, sir, I'll give it back to you. And if anyone has specific questions, I'm definitely willing to answer those questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Captain Treywick?
I don't have questions, but I do have a comment. At that Monday Meals incident, we have members of our church that are teachers and administrators. And so I'm on the prayer ministry for Turning Point Church, Jonesboro.
Yes, ma'am.
And we immediately, when we heard of it, went into prayer, interceding for the schools, for the children, for the police officers, which we do all the time for our first responders. And so I think in my heart that if every church in Clayton County, in the state of Georgia for that matter, would pull together with their prayer ministries and intercede on a weekly basis at a minimum for our law enforcement officers, our firemen, for our schools, everyone, that prayer is a very, very powerful thing. And when we come together united in prayer for our cities, our communities, our state, and all of our officials, things will start to turn around. I do believe that with all my heart. Just a comment. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Stewart, because, you know, a lot of times people like to separate the church and prayer from what it is that we're doing, but we need it. There's a lot going on in society. There's a lot going on in our schools, and I'm a believer, and I know prayer works. It works for me. So please tell your congregation to continue to pray for us because we, with the climate in America, we really need it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those remarks, Ms. Stewart. And thank you, Captain. And just to let you all know, we had just had a meeting. Was that Wednesday?
Yes, sir. We had the meeting.
Yes. And so it was kind of ironic that this issue takes place the day after we're having a meeting about weapons in schools and how to begin to impede on such an incident and activity going on. So thank you and job well done, Chief.
Okay, you're welcome, sir.
Next, let us bring up, we've got to get moving here. I want to bring up Representative Bruneau. Redistricting has taken place in the state of Georgia. And
it's a trivia question.
We want
Need a
sure.
Trivia and everybody get your thinking cap on.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, redistricting has taken place, but the governor has not signed the bills yet. What happened in the beginning of the process, for the Democratic Party, they drew maps and they showed us, and that on their maps, Clayton County would have gained another seat in the House. However, once the maps were drawn by the Republicans and they presented them, Clayton County actually lost 2 seats. So in the 2023 session, once that starts, we will lose Representative Schofield and we'll lose Representative Bazemore. My district, I kept my district number, but I will not have the same district. My district, instead of being with Commissioner Davis, I'll be more with Commissioner Hambrick. I'll go up 314 into Forest Park. And I don't know the other numbers for the other representatives since he hasn't signed it. The maps are online, but we all have to run for our seats anyway. We have to qualify in March. And so hopefully before then, I'll be able to let you all know what everybody's new number is. One of the things also is that because we grew in population, the county too will have to redistrict and they'll have to change some of their boundary lines. And so I will be carrying that piece of legislation for the county because so they are now, I had to give them permission to work with the reapportionment office on the state level. And so they will be going through their maps. And I'm sure they will have public hearings where they will show you how the lines change. Of course, Chairman Turner doesn't change or if he decides to run again because the chairman runs countywide. But the other commissioners, their lines will be adjusted. So I just wanted to give y'all that brief update about redistricting. The session lasted 3 weeks. So we went through different processes. Right now, the only one I think that is gonna end up.
Oops. Did we lose her?
She's cutting out.
Yes. Well, we'll see. Maybe, hopefully she'll come back in and finish here. Just give her a moment. But if let's make sure that everyone's mic is on mute.
See what the maps look like.
Yeah, you cut out on us a little bit, Representative Bruneau. So In fact, I think you still are in intermittent. Well, I tell you what, let's move on. Hopefully when she comes back, we can get her back in. Let's go with Parks and Rec first. Troy Hodges, you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you want to give us a Parks and Rec update?
All right, certainly. International Pool, start with International Park. As Commissioner Davis said earlier, we're getting new restrooms, outdoor restrooms. We're going to be demolishing the existing outdoor restrooms and getting total new modular restrooms. And that's just a process that we got to go through as far as the demo and the installation, and we got to get the crane to move them in, but they will be, I am told that they will be in before summer. So I know we have a lot of people that use those restrooms, and they're ready for the new ones. The amphitheater at the VIP complex is, still under design. We've had to go back to the drawing table and value engineer out a lot of stuff, but because there's limited funds, and but it'll still be a brand new facility and something that the citizens of Clayton County will be very proud of. Let's see, the VIP complex has been completed. The renovation of the VIP complex has been completed. You will be able to reserve that for this summer for your, family reunions, birthday parties, wedding receptions, all kinds of stuff. And, it's going to be, you'll be surprised at all of the amenities that were put back into the VIP complex. The water park is, matter of fact, if you would, I would like to share my screen, Commissioner Davis, if appropriate. Sure. I will share.
Here we go. I see you.
Okay. All right, I'm trying. I don't know if do you guys see anything?
I see something, yes.
Okay. But is it the video?
It's a small screen right now. You can enlarge.
Do you see the water? You see the water park?
No, sir.
Nothing.
No.
Okay, well, maybe we'll get to that maybe next time, but there's a really nice video to kind of introduce the amenities of the water park that you'll be very proud of as well. The Nassau building, it's still under construction, and hopefully it will be ready sometime during the month of January. The parking lots, one big thing that will impact a lot of people in the area would be we are totally redoing the parking lot closest to the recreation center. We know it's the entrance off of Walt Stevens Road. That large parking lot will be resurfaced within the coming weeks. So be aware of that. The tennis courts, if you've heard of pickleball, we got some new equipment, some new courts for pickleball. If you're interested in that, that'll be a big addition that you can utilize at the tennis courts. As far as other programs, of course, we have the basketball program going on right now, and we'll start registration for baseball in February.
Great. We got to keep them busy, keep everyone busy, the young and the not so young. Sure. Thank you, Troy. Thank you for that. Let me go back to Representative Bruneau briefly. Representative Bruneau, you were cutting in and out. I don't know if did you have anything else to add? We got up to you're on mute.
Okay, did you hear the beginning part when I was just telling about?
Yeah, we heard you all the way up to the commission, the county being in the district.
Oh, okay. Well, Oh, okay. Well, I just, was saying that I'll be carrying the legislation for the county, and that I'm sure you all will be having meetings to discuss, how you all are going to change the lines once the state gives you a draft and of the new lines. And then we do go back in session on January the 10th for the session. And also, I don't know if anybody remembers Officer Greg Barney, but they're going to dedicate the Riverdale Police Station to him tomorrow at, I think it's at 2:30. And so the governor is supposed to be here for that dedication. So anybody that remembered Greg, that they're going to dedicate their building, it'll be named after him, their new police station.
Great. That's at 2:30?
It's at 2:30.
All right, and marking that down here. Thanks for that information. Well, thank you, Representative Bruno. Who will be our new representative in this area?
I don't know. I'll have to go back. I didn't want to give the numbers until the governor signs. He hasn't signed the legislation. So, some things could change. And I was also saying that I think that the congressional maps are the only ones that will enter into a lawsuit, but everything else, the representative and the Senate maps, they will stay the same.
Great. All right, thank you.
We're just waiting on him to sign the legislation.
Any questions for Representative Bruno? Anyone? Well, thank you, Representative Bruno, for that.
All right, thank you. And everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You as well.
You too.
Now let's bring up, it is the holiday season, and we've got a lot of folks out that are in need of assistance, just living. So we want to bring up our Chief Judge, Keisha Wright Hill, to begin to discuss our rental program, rental assistance, and also domestic violence and what should be done when we hear about them or when we're confronted with that.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. I want to give an update as far as our eviction prevention project. I try to give you updated numbers each month. And from March 21st, March 2021 to date, we have dispersed over $4.3 million in rental assistance. With those monies, we've been able to dismiss 662 eviction cases, which has had an impact on 1,374 citizens of Clayton County. Those including men, women, children, the elderly, and disabled. We are happy to announce that on December 1st, we received an additional $1.8 million from the Department of Treasury. The $4 million that we've received was 40% of what is to be allocated to us. So again, we did receive another $1.8 million. I was recently interviewed, I think this week, by the Washington Post on our eviction prevention project. And I think it's important to note that we have gotten recognition from outside of the county and outside of the state, in large part because we have been able to try to get ahead of this as much as possible, as quickly as possible. So I do want to thank you, Commissioner Davis, as well as all of the commissioners, because when COVID hit and we were able to tackle this earlier this year, because our Board of Commissioners allocated the initial $1 million that we dispersed while we were waiting for and applying for federal funding, we were able to start the disbursement and to assist those to keep our citizens from becoming homeless. So it's to be commended that our county is aggressive and not waiting. The process to try to seek federal funds, it's a process and it takes time, but our county recognized the need, took action, and was able to allocate these monies to us. So I do want to thank you, Commissioner Davis, for that. There is a way, and I stress this at every meeting, to seek and obtain rental assistance. And this is for the landlords and the tenants. We have a central application, which is located at relief.clayton@claytoncountyga.gov, which I will put in the chat. We've made it so that it's a universal application. Both landlords and tenants can apply initially. We do need information from both parties, but the landlord can take it, can start the process just as well as the tenant. We are able to have each case that is initiated, we submit it to a case manager, I believe within 48 hours of submission. And so if both parties, this is the challenge is getting information and documentation from both parties. But if both parties submit all of the requested documents, we're able to disperse those funds within a week or two. So we're able to work very quickly. And as I said before, we disperse the funds to landlords directly every Monday and Wednesday. And we've been doing so since March. So if you know of a tenant that's in need of rental assistance, if you know of a landlord who has went months and now over a year without receiving funds, please have them to apply online. I will say that we are in a good situation as far as the monies that we have. And we've worked hard, both the Board of Commissioners, the Magistrate Court, we've worked very hard to try to get these funds. Now that we have the funding, we need to make sure it gets to the people that need it. We understand that we want to make sure that the tenants do not become homeless, but we also understand and recognize that landlords have went a long time without funding. So we want to make sure that those funds get into the proper appropriate hands. And I believe, there's no, as far as hours, there's not a cap on the amount. Now, Hearts to Nourish, they may have a cap, and Hearts to Nourish handles the funding if there is not a pending eviction. But there's not a cap on ours. So we've dispersed $1,000, we've dispersed $10,000, we've dispersed $20,000, as long as we're able to get documents, the appropriate documentation.
Great.
Are there any questions on the rental assistance program?
Yes. Commissioner Davis, my name is Joanne Gorell, and I do have a question for the judge. I'm the president of the St. Philip Benizi Conference of St. Vincent de Paul Society. And St. Philip Benizi is located on Flint River Road. We operate a food pantry on Friday mornings, and we get numerous requests from Clayton County residents for assistance with their rent. Several of them have told us that they have filled out the application forms and they've been told it will take 6 to 8 weeks to get the money, and that they are worried, in jeopardy of being evicted before they get that money. Is there someone they should contact about this? Do they have protection from being evicted?
So this is the benefit of us collaborating and working together. We have a central application where everybody applies, and then we have a case manager that disperses the cases. If there is no eviction pending, they're just behind in their rent, that's handled with Hearts to Nourish. If there is an eviction pending, then the Magistrate Court handles that, and the funds are dispersed to the African Children's Fund. But understand, we all work together. So Hearts to Nourish, African Children's Fund, and the Magistrate Court, we all work together. So because there is quite a number of applications, and I can't speak on that sounds like a case that's went with Hearts to Nourish, because their time frame may be longer. I know that they have hired additional people to try to expedite the process, but let's just say someone applied in September, and the landlord said they're willing to work with them, and it's still pending, and the funding has not been submitted yet. And then the landlord goes and files an eviction tomorrow. Number one, the biggest thing is if an eviction has been filed, the biggest thing, the most important thing that I try to get out to the community is to make sure as a tenant, you file an answer within 7 days of service. And 7 days of service is when it's put up on your door, not you receiving it in the mail, not that it's being served by the sheriff. If you come home and there's a notice on your door, file an answer within 7 days with the court, because now you have a timely answer. It helps to state why you fell behind, because a lot of times in those answers, the tenant will say, I fell behind because I lost my job due to COVID, or I've applied for assistance with Hearts to Nourish. So I read all of those answers. So if, let's say they've applied and there's a pending application and I'm looking, one, there's a timely answer, that's fine, because if not, then we can just sign the writ and the sheriff can put them out. That's why I'm saying it's very important that they file an answer within 7 days. But if I look and see, okay, they have a pending application with Hearts to Nourish, I'm going to take that application and I'm going to give it to African Children's Fund, and African Children's Fund, between African Children's Fund and Hearts to Nourish, they will communicate with one another and look at the application, do what's necessary to process it, and get the payment made out. So the short answer to your question is, even if they've applied, an eviction is filed after the fact. If they say that, if they put it in the answer and let us know that, then we're going to make sure that it's taken care of.
Okay. All right. So then when I talk to the person, I can tell them if they've gotten a notice applied to their door that they need to answer that within 7 days to you.
With the magistrate court, yes, they need to file it. It has to be filed within 7 days. And put in their yes, and to put in their answer why they're responding to whatever the claim is that the landlord says. So the landlord may say you owe $3,000. Some people say, no, I don't owe $3,000, I owe $2,500. So they may be saying I owe the money, but it's not that amount. Or yes, I owe that money, but I've not been able to pay because I lost my job due to COVID, or I got COVID and was sick, or my child had to stay home and I had to stay with them because they were learning virtually. And I have applied for assistance with Hearts to Nourish. That's the trick. That'll give us a red flag that, okay, they have something in the works, and then we can go and look them up in the system.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Was there another question before I move to the temporary protective orders? Okay, I thought someone had said something else. The second issue that I wanted to address just briefly, and it's in line with what Captain Travick said, is as domestic violence. And this time of year, and just I guess in particular the fact that a lot of people, we've all been cooped up in the house. So that doesn't help situations where domestic violence is prevalent. And so all temporary protective orders, or TPOs, come through the magistrate court. So a lot of people, when they say restraining order, but it's called a temporary protective order. And if you know of anyone that's been a victim of domestic violence, what we're looking for as the judges, we're looking for acts of violence, threats of violence, or stalking, So if someone punches somebody, if someone slaps somebody, because of course we know someone shoots somebody, stabs somebody, that's on the extreme. But someone punches somebody, if someone slaps somebody, if someone chokes someone, if someone pushes them down some stairs, those are acts of violence, threats of violence. I'm gonna kill you. That's a threat of violence, and or stalking. If those things are prevalent and you can show that the person that is applying for the petition can show that there's been an act of violence, threat of violence, or stalking, and there's a likelihood that it may occur in the future, then they are within their right to file for a temporary protective order. What we have done is to put the application online. So the easiest way that I tell people is to just Google Clayton County Magistrate Court. As soon as you Google it, the first link that's going to come up is Magistrate Court. You click on Magistrate Court, scroll down, it's going to say how to apply for a temporary protective order. So I have taken the time and went step by step and tried to make it as simple as possible as far as how to apply. There are two ways that you can apply. If the person has access to the internet, a computer and scanner, they can apply right at home on their computer. You can complete it online. And then what you need to do is they will email it to our victim advocate, which is Kim Belcher. They'll email the petition to her, and she is going to review it and make sure it is complete to be submitted to the judge. If there's something that's missing or something that's not clear, she'll go back and forth with them until it is sufficient to send to the judge. They'll have it notarized and scan it back to her, and she will immediately forward it to our judge that's reviewing the temporary protective orders. We have judges in place that review them Monday through Friday, 8 to 3 every day. So if they have access to that, that's the easy way. Let's say that there's someone that does not have access to an internet or a printer and scanner. What they can do, and again, this is on the website, they can make an in-person appointment with our victim advocate, and there's a calendar that they can go on. So you click on it and it'll tell you the next available calendar. And there are slots from, I believe, 8:30 to 3 every day. And so they can come in, bring in whatever documentation they have, maybe photographs, text messages showing threats, emails showing threats, pictures of damaged doors, knocked down doors, whatever documentation that you have, they have, and can bring that, meet with Ms. Belcher. She will then make sure that their application is complete. She'll notarize the application, again, send it directly over to the judge. And within that same day, if there's a sufficient evidence, then an ex parte, which means one party, there will be an ex parte order that will be issued. That order will then be forwarded to the sheriff, and the sheriff will serve the respondent. The respondent will then have to, if they're in the same home, will have to leave the property immediately. So they're able to grab whatever they can put in a duffel bag, and they have to leave the premises at that time. And then they'll be given a court date to have a 12-month protective hearing before a judge. At that hearing, and that hearing is usually set within about 2 weeks. At that hearing, the judge will hear from both sides. If there's sufficient evidence to show that domestic violence has taken place and is likely to occur in the future, a 12-month temporary protective order will be put in place. And at that point, I tell them, and I'm very specific, I tell the respondent there, at that point, once we've decided that probable cause has been found, that they are to have no contact with the petitioner. They're not to call them, they're not to text them, they're not to email them, they're not to send messages through third parties, a written message through their cousin's cousin. They're not to send any messages on any social media platforms. In the event that they do, and people do violate these, the petitioner is within their right to file a motion for contempt with our court. And if I find that they're in contempt of our initial 12-month protective order, they can be immediately incarcerated in the Clayton County Police Department, jail, as well as being charged with aggravated stalking, which is a felony punishable in Georgia up to 10 years in prison and or a $10,000 fine. And according to the statute, the Georgia statute, once we issue a 12-month protective order, whether by hearing or by consent, because the respondent can consent, the respondent is ordered to enroll in a 24-week family violence intervention program. They're ordered to. It's not optional. It's not discretionary by me. They're ordered to do it, and we follow up with that as well. If they don't enroll within 14 days, I set it down for another hearing. And then they explained to me why they did not. Some people didn't state they didn't understand, what have you. I give them a pass the first time. The second time, I'm going to reset it again. And when I reset it that second time, it's going to be in the courthouse. Because if I find that they're not compliant with my order, then they may be incarcerated for non-compliance. So I say all that to say we take domestic violence very seriously. Please spread the word. If there is someone that is a victim of domestic violence, please have them to apply for temporary protective order. And also, as a part of the order, they are to, the respondent has to surrender all weapons and firearms to the Clayton County Sheriff.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. That's what we needed. During this time, and as Chief Traywick has stated, and our other officers, these domestic violence issues are nothing to be taken lightly. We've lost an officer responding to a domestic violence incident in the last 2 weeks. So I really want those individuals that are in these situations, or if you know of anybody, please reach out and help them. We've got to do our part as well. We want to do our parts before the police and the judge and the courts have to do their part. So let's try to do that.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
May I ask Judge Hill about the fact, we talked about the apartments, Terror Woods apartments way back months and months ago. And the burned units are all still sitting there just exactly like they were. One whole big unit's been sitting there for 5 or 6 years burned down, or partially burned down, another one for a year or two. Is there any activity with this blighted apartment? Because I do believe we were talking about Judge Hill possibly when things open back up again, looking into what's happening with these blighted units. Is any activity? They just sit there sitting just exactly like they were years ago.
Ms. Taylor, and I did look that up for you. It's out of our court, out of magistrate court. It's already been forwarded up to the state and superior courts. So as far as it would be on their dockets next, as far as trial. But I did look, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's already been forwarded up. We've found probable cause. It's already been forwarded up to state and superior court.
Great.
So we don't know how long that takes or what happens with that. I guess they're behind too also, I would assume.
They are, I would say, more than us because they have jury trials. And so they're still trying to start jury trials up and socially distanced. So I did look it up, but if it was within my discretion, then I could expedite it, but it's out of my court.
Well, thank you for looking into it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's move on. We're getting down to the time. Did I miss anybody? Code enforcement. Do I have code enforcement on the line? I see we've got community affairs. Mr. Officer Carroll, is there anything you want to add? Okay, I'll take you. There we go.
No, Commissioner.
Good, good.
No, so there's nothing we got to add right now. It's just we have our shot with the cops that's coming up
Great.
in about another 2 weeks. And we've been very successful in that every year. So we're glad that we're partnering with Walmart. So we're happy to do it again this year.
Great. That sounds good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We've got to get our community involved. I'm trying to make sure I don't move, trying to move kind of fast. Okay, let's get to the next part. What I'm trying to do is and I thank you all for being involved in our community and just community involvement. One of the activities I'd like to do, and my email address, demont.davis@claytoncountyga.gov. I get the calls about the growth and what we don't want and what we do want. I want to begin to set a couple of groups, one in I call it the northern area of Riverdale, one in the southern section, the northern area of Lake Spivey, down in the lower level towards of Lake Spivey and Jonesboro, and all the way down in Lovejoy. I'd like to create a couple of small groups where we can sit and talk once every few months about how do we transition into other areas. Prime example, how do we transition from residential into commercial or into mixed use? What do we want to see in those areas? Not every area wants growth. Some areas we're going to experience growth and we need to begin to fix our infrastructure. So I'd like to really hear from you all, see who would be willing to serve like this, just to sit down and just have a conversation, like I say, once every few months, to where we can get a feel of the community and what we want and where we want to go. Some of the best ideas that I've implemented have come from the citizens, because I do listen, and if they make sense, let's get it done. So I just want to hear from you all on that, about would you all be willing to do something like this and go and moving our community forward.
Commissioner, this is Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Barbara Wilson. Thank you for taking the call. That sounds a great idea, and I would love to be a part of that for my community.
Great, great. I'm going to put my email in the chat. So anyone that's interested, if you know of anybody, I would really love you guys to go ahead and email me so that I could get in touch with everyone. So if anybody else wants to do that, just let me know. I'm putting it in here now. Evidently, I can't talk and type at the same time. I think I got that in there correct. There we go. All right. And so that's one of the big things. Something else, well, so that's the big one, and that's based, what we want to really look at doing is really identifying and defining our density and growth. So that's what this is really about and how we want to grow. Time for you all. Go ahead.
Commissioner Davis, this is
Yes,
Judy
ma'am.
Taylor again. And I would certainly, if we're not going to meet all that often, just every
Mhm.
once in a while, since I'm always giving you input anyway, I might as well attend the meetings and give you a little bit of input, because I am very concerned about what's happening in the county with all of the additional apartments and townhouses that are coming about. But I was going to mention, you mentioned about the Noah's Ark thing, and it's good to hear that there's a possibility this could be denied as far as building all of those townhouses there. But since it's not going to be definite until we actually have the meeting and someone has voted on this and it's either denied or approved, whatever, I would encourage everyone to attend the meeting on December the 21st at 6:30 with the commissioners. And that's going to be when the final decision would be made. That's what I understand. And I think people still need to give their input, tell you how they feel, because I've not talked to anyone that thinks this is a good idea. And it's not just the traffic. Traffic's a big issue. A lot of other reasons why those townhouses do not need to be built there. And so I just want to make sure that people do understand it's still important to be there, be represented, come early, sign in, show up, let you know how they feel. That helps you know what the community's feeling and what's happening with that. But I do hope that you are going to consider denying, allowing, we don't know for sure, because it's very hard for us to get information about this. And if it should happen that they're going to have the public hearing, it should be considered. Will we get whatever it is the new plans are that they're to keep talking about, their new things, working on things? We cannot find out anything from planning and zoning or transportation traffic that's any different from what's been presented before. So if there are any new plans, would we be able to find that information out ahead of the meeting so we know what to consider and how to look into it? But I cannot find out anything about what they're going to bring up at this meeting.
The plans at this point have not changed much. They've reduced the number of units. I can't remember. I think it's down to 151. We're still looking at the traffic pattern and traffic flow. So, but for the most part, there's been nothing that's changed. But what I can tell you this will not be tabled again. It will be voted on Tuesday. So, but like you said, folks, come out, because we definitely want you to voice your opinion. So thank you on that. And with that, does anybody else have anything that we want to talk about that is of concern to you or that you need to bring to my attention? This is your time.
Where do we stand on the trash? Is anything going on with the garbage pickup as far as the county taking that over and everything else too? Is there anything new on that, or is there just still looking into it?
Right now, it's still in discussion phase. Because it's not just about the countywide trash pickup. It's about how it's going to be paid for. So that's the thing. Can it be on a water bill? Is it going to be included in the taxes? So that's what we have to begin to look at. So that's something that we do have before us to begin to discuss at our board retreat, which is being scheduled now.
Commissioner Davis, Freddie
Yes.
Edenfield here.
Mr. Edenfield, how are you?
With regards to the county possibly taking over the trash pickup, exactly what problem is the county attempting to resolve?
Well, we're attempting to resolve our community as far as a lot of the trash being left on the side of the roads, but we want to make sure our residential trash pickup is put in place, and that all homes have a trash pickup to begin to minimize trash on the side of the roads and in the back of a lot of our commercial facilities and dumpsters.
Okay, and if you guys haven't discussed this, I would hope that you've really gone in a deliberative manner to see that if the county should take over the trash issue, then the problems will be resolved. I gotta tell you, I don't think that will resolve it. If you guys decide to take away my choice to choose who picks up my garbage, I'm hoping that if nothing else, that the matters that you mentioned previously will be solved.
Well, and I can concur with some of the things you've just stated there. I think trash pickup is definitely needed, but it's how it's implemented and also to what's going to be our mark of success. So we've got a lot to deal with, but thank you for those comments. Anyone else? Now, as many emails as I get, now we got you and you can discuss it.
Well, this is Judy Taylor again. I want to say what a good job Refuge Control does going around. They really help us out where I live and everything, because we're along where some property is that the county owns, and it's right by our subdivision. People want to use that for dumping sites and everything. They're very prompt with coming when we ask them to come and clean up and everything too. And code enforcement is very helpful in our area too and everything too. But just looking at what's on Clayton all the time, you can see how bad the problem is in the county with all the dumping just everywhere, all over the county and everything else too. So whatever it takes, whether it's the trash pickup or whether it's just more education or working with our young people or talking about it in school or everywhere we go, or also with law enforcement, they're working on trying to enforce our littering laws and things like that. I said, whatever we have to do, that's what we have to do, because I think what's happening with our gas stations and our places around there, everybody's using their dumpsters to dump all their stuff in. They get overloaded, then the trash blows out and around into the neighborhoods and everywhere too. So it affects them too. So whatever we can do, something's certainly got to be done about the issue.
Yes, I agree. And just to let you all know, and I can, for one of my upcoming events, it's on Saturday, January 15th. I'm having a District 4 cleanup day, where we can not just talk about somebody else doing it, but we ourselves get out and begin to pick up some of these trash. So I'm working with the Refuse Control right now. It's going to be January 15th from 10 to noon. And we're going to have different districts, different areas where we're going to go through and clean up our streets. Right now, those locations are to be determined. Forgive me, I cannot speak this morning. Those locations are going to be determined. So I will let you all know at the next community meeting. Anything else from anyone? We're getting close.
Commissioner Davis, if I could, as relates to county ordinance, I did forget to say this. I have spoken recently with our Chief Staff Attorney, Attorney Reed, and we are working on a calendar to address county ordinance. We're trying to work on a calendar where we can simultaneously address the backlog in addition to the current violations that are coming in. But I just want to let you know that is in the works. And as I've said before, and I've told code enforcement, it would behoove violators to pay whatever ticket is put before them, because if it gets to magistrate court and they have to come before me, it's not going to be nice. They've had whatever violation that has occurred, there has been more than sufficient time to address it with COVID. And so once we get started back, it's going to be very hard to convince me why you haven't done what you should have done months ago and over a year ago. And the fines will reflect that.
Great. And that's what we need. Thank you, Judge, for that. It's all of our responsibilities to keep our community clean. But also, when you all begin to go down the road and see an issue, please don't hesitate to email me where it is. Give me a good segment, because what I do as well, I try to do it on Monday morning, sometimes Tuesday, is I email the warden those locations, and he jumps on them pretty quickly to get them resolved. So please don't hesitate to do that. I try to drive through District 4 on the weekends to just kind of look and see what's going on outside of my own immediate community to find out what's going on as well. And I mark those and I get those to him. So I just want to stress, please email me those locations of where we're having trash issues. Anyone else? No one. Oh, this is maybe is everybody sleeping on me this morning? Okay. Well, we do have some upcoming events. We're having a coat and hat drive next Saturday, December 18th. It's at All In Sports Bar. on Mount Zion. I will put that address out there. In fact, I do it. I have the address, I believe, right here. But that's going to be December 18th from 4 to 7. So please bring out your slightly used coats, hats, scarves, gloves, whatever you have for children and adults. We're going to be distributing those really soon. I'm trying to find this. I'll have to list it. I don't want to keep you all too long here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll find that later. Then we'll also, I said, as far as January goes, January 15th, we're gonna have a District 4 cleanup. Those locations are gonna be determined later. We had a home buyer seminar last month and we had 50, I think there were 58 people that registered and went there. Of those 58, 4, from what I understand, have already been approved and bought homes. Almost 40 were approved and the others are in the process of getting approved for home buyers. So that's something that we really want to do. Right now, we have 52% that are non-homeowner occupied residents here in Clayton County. And if we can get our owner occupied residency up, I think that's going to go a long way in minimizing our trash issues as well. So we're going to be doing another home buyer seminar. That's going to be in February. And then our Get Fit Business Expo for small businesses. We want to really get our local businesses some notoriety here and some exposure. We're doing that in March. So those will be coming up. So anything else you all need, please contact me. I thank everybody for being involved. Are there any last minute remarks, questions, comments from anyone?
Yes, Commissioner, when is the next meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry. The next meeting, January 8th. January 8th, 2022. I've got the wrong year on mine. Yeah, 2022. Starting in February, my goal is to have a hybrid meeting. So we will be meeting in person as well as on Zoom. So we want to move to that because I've had a lot of folks that say they want to meet in person. So we're going to hybrid this going forward. That's going to be our new normal. Any other questions?
Commissioner, how can I get involved with your home buyer seminars?
When we won't send out the registration probably until the first of the year. Because what did I say that is? Yeah.
Well, I would like to get involved as a participant.
Okay.
I'm a licensed realtor.
Okay. Yeah, we have that's your area. I don't like to speak on it because I don't know as much as you know about that. But I stay in my lane on certain things and then I know how to ask questions. So,
right.
But we'll definitely get you involved.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, well, listen, I want to thank you all for taking an hour out of your day to speak with me about your concerns, to listen to what's going on in our community, but most of all, for helping to make this community in Clayton County great. So I thank you for that. I wish you all happy holidays. Don't eat too much, but find somebody to love and find somebody that's less fortunate than you and begin to reach out and help them as well. So thank you all, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Happy holidays,
Merry Christmas, all.
everybody.
Happy holidays, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.